listening to The Burn. Gaming stuff, blazing fast.
Welcome to a new episode of The Burn, a podcast about gaming done blazing fast. I'm Aviv Manoach.
And I am Omer Kaplan. Hey, it's been a while.
Yes, it has. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, the last time we recorded an episode, I think it was winter, and now it's spring. So this goes to show how long it has been.
Even if we recorded an episode with a 2 weeks gap between them, it can move between winter and spring.
Yes, so yeah, right? So it was snowing outside, and now it's not snowing outside anymore. Now it's like all nice and green and blooming, and the birds are here.
But yes,
really great.
Our last episode was in February, so
Yes.
it's a big difference.
How are you?
I'm
life?
well. It's a terrible weather we are having, and I hate every second of it. I already need air conditioning.
Yes. Well, and you live in a very humid place too, so.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about some games.
Let's talk about games.
Yes, in this podcast, in each episode, we discuss a game we are playing and like or dislike or has something to say about, and some news. You can find all of the episodes at theburn.live. You can also find me sometimes on Twitch, twitch.tv/icel.me. And that's it. Let's start. So first of all, our recall segment of the episode. In episode 18, we talked about Monster Train, which Omer was playing at the time. And then yesterday, I randomly got a free month of Game Pass.
Oh, nice.
So I go into my Game Pass for PC thing, and I start downloading games that I wanted to try. So I downloaded Nobody Saved the World and Monster Sanctuary and Monster Train and a few others that I don't remember at the moment, because those are the three that I sampled yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I played Nobody Saved the World a bit. I discovered that its PC version doesn't support mouse, which is crap, and I hate it.
Yes.
But I was on my work PC, which has Bluetooth, so I took my DualShock 4 controller and I paired it via Bluetooth, and I downloaded the DS4 app for Windows, and I could play it with the PlayStation controller. So okay, I played it for like half an hour. Fine. It's nice. I will go back to it, but it's not amazing as a starting experience, let's say. And then I went into Monster Sanctuary, which you would like, Omer. It's basically side-scrolling Pokemon.
Yep, I played a whole bunch of it. It's nice. It scratches the itch. It's really nice, and it's like a lot of like rock, paper, scissors, like sort of pixely Pokemons.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit Metroidvania. I don't know if you got.
Yeah, I noticed that there are like places where I would imagine you need double jump to get to.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I also like that the monsters have skill trees, which is really cool. I like that.
But it's still grindy. So if you're in the mood for a rock, paper, scissors monster game, grindy damage type, that's pretty nice, relaxing.
Yeah, and then I started Monster Train. I knew of it. I watched a bunch of it on Twitch and YouTube and stuff. I played Slay the Spire in the past. I wasn't expecting to get as hooked as I did. First of all, it's a lot more approachable than Slay the Spire. Like, Slay the Spire eats you like a ton of bricks just at the beginning. Like, you don't even need to get to the Ascendance modes for that game to be rough. And Monster Train is a pretty chill experience. Even if you don't know what you're doing, you'll probably get to like battle 7 or 8 of a run. And you pretty quickly learn the combos and stuff, and it's really nice. My second run of trying the game, I won. I did with the Green Clan as the main one, the Awoken. That the champion, the basic one, is basically a tank that doesn't attack, and it either does revenge damage to enemies or buff all of your minions, which is really cool. So I won for the first time with that, and then today I played a bunch of runs. I did a daily trial thing, daily challenge, which had a bunch of cards I didn't know about, because the daily challenge basically give you whatever cards like are part of it. It's not tied to your collection or anything. And then I did a lot. I unlocked 2 new clans. The blue magic ones that I don't remember how they are called. And then I unlocked the black shadow ones, the Umbra or something. I haven't played with them yet. The blue one is interesting because it's very magic based. And I had like a very good magic run when I killed bosses just with spells. But eventually I didn't have enough boots on the ground to hold off the final boss or something. So it's interesting. Every clan has its own different mechanics. I feel like it's more varied than Slay the Spire. Partially because you get to 2 decks from the beginning. So you get the primary Ender champion and then a secondary whatever, and you can mix and match like strategies, right? The original clan, that the whole Hellhound or whatever they call the Ren ones, let's be magic and call them red deck, blue deck, green deck, and black decks. The red deck you can do like an imp strategy where you stack your deck with imps, and then there are a bunch of cards that use either sacrifice imps on the board, or their damage is based on the imps in your deck. And there is a card called Implosion. So in one of my imp runs, I got it to like 75 damage or something like that. Which was really cool. The problem with this is that imps are really weak as a unit. So if you don't upgrade and buff them, you pretty much have a very weak board to go with all of those spell cards. So it's a give and take. Red deck also has a lot of rage stuff in it, which is nice. So yeah, I'm hooked. I love it. I don't know if I will win a lot. Like, I got to the point where after you win once, you start getting covenant levels or whatever. But that depends on you winning more, which I haven't succeeded in doing yet. But we talked about it a bit over on WhatsApp, and you said that you lost interest once you unlocked everything. Basically, I think that's what will probably happen with me. I'm kind of playing it right now to unlock new things, and yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I played for a long time, and then I lost interest where I unlocked everything, but also where I found. So I had like a couple of like decks I like to play. So I like the revenge damage one, which is kind of nice. There's also, I somehow got to a deck where you basically draw infinite amount of cards and you deal like...
Oh, I did that as well, yeah.
And so you draw infinite amount of cards and you play infinite amount of imps. So like you just keep doing, like you win solitary. Like at some point you just like do the combo over again. So I found like 2 or 3 decks I liked. And then once you play them, I don't know, 3 or 4 rounds, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll just give this game a rest and I'll come back to it. But it's fun, it's approachable, it's, you can just experiment with stuff and see how it works. And if you lose, it's like, you just hop on and do the
Yeah,
do
the
it again.
runs are also short, unlike Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire has like what, 10 rooms per each one of its like stages, and between them there are bosses and stuff. This has 9 battles total, and that's it. And you get they have a very nice speed feature. So once after I like did 3-4 runs, I just bumped the speed to maximum, and I just played the game at max speed.
Yeah, and that's what I do too. That's the fun way to play. You're just like, you do your thing, you set it up, and then you just hit play and go.
Yeah, especially for the boss encounter that has relentless. It takes like ages for the back and forth.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch too. So
yeah, it does. It is. Final thing, I have been told the game has a DLC now, which is pretty good and improve on the old content as well. Unfortunately, the Game Pass doesn't give you access to DLCs, so maybe in the future I will like buy the game and buy the DLC and stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, then we can like circle back and do a Recall Plus episode.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move on to the actual game of the show that we haven't talked about ever, and that is Crusader Kings 3. My story with Crusader Kings 3 is pretty much the same with Monster Train. I had Game Pass like a month ago, or even more at this point. So, it was weird. I was browsing YouTube. I found a bunch of like history videos that I started watching, and then it got me itching for some Crusader Kings. So I watched a bunch of it on YouTube, and then I decided to play it. So that's what happened. And it's free on Game Pass as well. So I started playing on Game Pass. I decided I enjoy it, and then I went and bought it with all of the DLCs. So that's what happened. Anyway, I don't think we talked about that on this podcast before, but I'm an avid Paradox strategy games player and watcher, experiencer, let's call it that. I'm very bad at all of their games, but I watch a lot of them. I played before Crusader Kings 2 and Stellaris and Hearts of Iron and Rome a bit and stuff like that. I really enjoy like the history parts, the alternate history parts, all of how Paradox mechanics make you act like those rulers would be in real life just by how the mechanics are designed. Like they sort of you can see the best in Crusader Kings. You see this the least. It's the most open freeform alternate history thing, because unlike games like Hearts of Iron and Europa Universalis and Rome, there are no missions or focuses that direct you toward an historical or alternative path. Crusader Kings 3, in so much that it is categorized as a role-playing game on Game Pass and Steam and stuff, because it is a strategy game, but you play as people, and all the mechanics in the game are tied to the specific person. Alliances and relationship and everything. Your piety, your prestige, those resources are all tied to your person and other people. So there is no national ideas or missions or stuff like that, like there are in previous not previous, but other series of the Paradox Grand Strategy. Crusader Kings 3 is the most approachable game Paradox ever created. It reduced a bit of the depth that Crusader Kings 2 had, but not a lot of it. It mostly make it a lot easier to understand what's happening in the game and what you need to do. I played Crusader Kings 2, and it's sometimes...
I have a second thoughts on that, but it's fine.
Okay, you'll have your say.
Okay.
My experience with Crusader Kings 2 is that I didn't know how to advance the technology. I barely knew how to build things and get money and stuff like that. And I feel like it's a lot clearer in Crusader Kings 3. Obviously, over time, it will get more complicated with DLCs and stuff. But already on launch, Crusader Kings 3 had like 10x the content Crusader King 2 had with all of its expansion in terms of like religions and cultures and types of government and stuff like that. When Crusader King 2 launched, you can only play the Crusader Kings, like Christian rulers, stuff like that. You needed expansions to play Muslims and Jewish and Norse and other pagans and all of those things. And in Crusader Kings 3, because everyone wants that, they know that the most popular part of the games are outside of Europe. They included it from the beginning. You could play from China to Central Africa to the how is it called, the Ivory Coast, whatever. So there is even, I think, Iceland. It's the most northwest thing you can get in Crusader Kings, something like that. So a lot of content, a lot easier to grasp. Looks amazing. All the characters are animated. They also change it so like Crusader Kings 2 was very Christian centric again because of Crusader. And in Crusader Kings 3 they broke down those systems and made them more generic. So for example, in Crusader Kings 2 there was traits for characters that were considered virtuous and sinful, and those were all of them were Christian. So sinful traits were like the 7 deadly sins. You can be like gluttonous and wrathful and stuff like that. And in Crusader Kings 3, each religion has a list of virtuous and sinful traits. So for example, for Nordic religion, the Astiru, I think it's called, being one-eyed is a virtuous thing because of Odin. So characters that have one eye like have better popular opinion, and being a coward is sinful because of the warrior culture and stuff like that. So that's great. You also have like an inventory thing that you can equip artifacts and stuff. The latest expansion, the first like big content expansion, it's called Royal Court, and for kings and emperors, it has a court system where if you are a lower noble, you can appeal to your liege, and if you are a king or an emperor, you can hold court, and you can decorate your court and have all sorts of things and stuff like that. Really nice. I did my biggest campaign, and then I will let Omer talk. My biggest campaign is also on my YouTube, youtube.com/asa.me, the same channel as this podcast. So it's there. I'm uploading the final part this week. I created a new ruler in the land of Palestine, Israel. Also, designing new rulers was a DLC for Crusader Kings 2, and now it's built into the game. It's great. So there are Jewish rulers in the world in the start bookmark 867. You can be the Khazar horde. Did you know, Omer, that there was an entire horde of Jewish rulers in the medieval age? I didn't.
I had no idea.
I didn't, and there was. So
Okay.
there is the Khazar horde. The rulers were Jewish. And there is a Jewish single county thing, single province county in the area of Ethiopia. You know Axum, the place where allegedly the Ark of the Covenant has been found by the History Channel. You remember that story?
Yep.
So they have a Jewish ruler there as well. But
Okay,
I created a new Jewish ruler that had the counties of Gaza and Jaffa, and I wanted to conquer the land of Israel to enact the decision to restore the kingdom of Israel, and then restore the Rabbinite high priestess. Spoiler, I did that, but then my liege, who was the Muslim emperor of the Middle East, basically, tried to throw me into prison because I was Jewish. And when I agreed, because I thought it would be easy to ransom myself out, I forgot that if you are a criminal, you can have your titles taken away. So, like 10 minutes after I became the king, the Dutch, not the king yet, the Duke of Jerusalem, 10 minutes later, my titles were taken away, and for me, I basically lost the campaign. It was infuriating. So that's me.
That's what I really like about like Paradox game is that they're really open-ended and you make the story. So that's that's really cool. Like I had a lot of moments like this in Stellaris, like not in this game. We're gonna talk about this game in a second, but yeah, that's pretty awesome story.
Okay, so talk about your experience with this game.
So I came into this game after playing way too much of Stellaris, which also gave me like really cool stories, and I still have a campaign running that I paused for now because like it going into way too many hours. So I said, okay, well, I want Stellaris, but like in a different setting, but I still like the Paradox game framework, so I'm gonna go into this. Crusader Kings 2 was too complicated for me. Played for an hour. I was like, okay, I have no idea what to do, and I don't want to watch 5 hours of YouTube content just to start my first game.
Oh, that's the difference between us. I will watch 50 hours of a game before I play it.
So I went into Crusader Kings 3 almost blind. And what you said about how accessible this game is like on point, because like I was able immediately to like go in. They even give you a very simple tutorial about okay, like what is game, like all the tooltips are very like straightforward. You can, if you want to understand the concept or a mechanic of the game, they give you a very easy way to do it and in context, so you don't have to, unlike games like Civilization, go into like the encyclopedia, we read all of the things and then go back. Like they give it to you in context, which is good. I went into, so the easiest thing they said is that, okay, let's play in Ireland, and your first mission is to unite Ireland under one king because there is no king there. And get the title. So I said, okay, that sounds fine. So I went in, I did all the things. They don't give you like a campaign goal, but they do give you kind of like a to-do list of things that they recommend you doing, which was very helpful. So I did that. After a few hours, I united Ireland, and I was the king of Ireland. And then I'm sitting here, and I was like, okay. So I got all of Ireland, but like now what? I'm in an island. I can't go to war with anyone. That's one thing that like slightly annoys me, by the way, is that they almost like, okay, I don't want to say the only way because it's not true, but I guess like the most straightforward way to get land, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because that's kind of like my understanding or experience, is through war and conquest, which makes sense. Another way is to start like marrying other people and get into their families and like inherit titles and like do all these shenanigans. And first of all, it takes time. Two, it's like a little bit RNG because like sometimes you don't have like for some like so women in that age didn't get to have anything nice almost. So it's really hard getting titles like that. So you need to have sons. So I'm in my island and I'm stuck and I can't go to war. And I saw some of my cousins married some people in some lands. I was like, okay, it's whatever. So I'm just sitting there like with no goal. So I got like, I don't know. I got to a point in the game where I just felt stuck. And like, I don't know, like, I just couldn't like, and maybe that's again, like, that's an issue with the Paradox game where I couldn't bring myself to create the story I wanted to play. So I was just like sitting there, like in a campaign without a goal. So I think that's what kind of like took the fun out of it for me, at least. And then I ended up going back to Stellaris, which is a great game. But
yeah, the
I see the potential.
No, the problem
Yeah.
is that you're thinking about this game like you think of Stellaris, where there is a campaign with an end game. There is no end game in Crusader Kings. If you started with a specific ruler and you did thing, and you got to an end point, you just start a new game with a new ruler, or even if you're not in Iron Man mode, you can switch rulers mid-campaign. So
Yeah.
the thing is that there is no Stellaris campaign is very structured. There is a mid game crisis and an end game crisis and stuff like that. In Crusader Kings, there is a period of time of like 800 years, and whatever you want to do in that time is up to you completely. The only thing that directs you is the events in the game. And again, that's part of it why people are calling it a role-playing game. It's basically you choose a direction and you see which event you get and you role-play your ruler, and that's basically it. One other campaign I started, I took the king or the Duke of Wallachia, and I will hint that his name is Tepes, and I wanted to start a Vampire Legacy campaign where I found the Kingdom of Wallachia and stuff like that. I didn't go very far because in 867 the Kingdom of Bulgaria is at war with the Magyar horde that is going to establish Hungary. So it's not an easy start to play from, but there's a bunch of things you can do on it. I played like a succession game in the Netherlands where I just sat there and started like making the most children and trying to do like a eugenics things where I try to make the best bloodline, stuff like that. I had a campaign where I was the king of Wakanda in Africa, and I tried to like conquer the neighboring and stuff. I ended up being conquered myself, and that was that was a bummer. I did everything. I created the Wakanda banner in the game and all of those things. It was fun. So you have to go into it with your own idea of what you want to do. Otherwise, you won't have any fun in the game.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that was my kind of like major issue, because I was trying to, so they in the tutorial they give you a specific goal. They say, okay, your goal is to unite Ireland, and I did it. I did some things, like I enjoyed the random like scenarios and things that happened in the meanwhile. I threw a couple of people to jail and they didn't like me, so I didn't care. So it was nice. But then, like, once that's done, I guess I was like, okay, well, how do I continue from here? And then your answer is, maybe you don't. Maybe you just, imagine a new campaign and start from there.
You could have continued from there. You could have tried to conquer the entire Isles and then establish the empire of Britannia, or depends on your culture, it could have been one of the other local things.
I think I need to get out of my head the fact that, the goal of the game is to conquer, because it's not. I mean, it can be.
Oh, it can
but
be.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, right.
Yeah.
But
So I think
part of the fun of the game is like finding the obscure titles that could have been in Europe but didn't ever happen, and then try to establish them. There is the decisions that you can take, which are kind of sub goals. So in my Palestine campaign, the part of the decisions were establishing kingdom of Israel, restoring the Rabbinite priesthood, stuff like that, and those are really tough end goals because you need to like conquer all of the holy sites and be independent. And being independent from the like Muslim empire is very difficult. So there are things you can go into and like set goals around them.
Yeah, that's fair. You make me want to come back to this.
But basically, the tutorial puts you in what people call newbie island, and it's on one hand very easy, and in the other kind of boring. So you probably want to play a different campaign after that.
I think I'm going to like detach myself from, the Kingdom of England and the Roman Empire, like all that, and like focus on like other part of the globe and see what happens. One thing I like about this game is that, first of all, the graphics are pretty good. Is that to start conquest you need like a casus belli, like you need a reason to go to war.
Yeah.
And
unless you're Norse, and then you can just invade people.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
in the civilized
world, civilized world, we need a reason.
Exactly.
But so the way to do it is, one way to do it is to say to your, I guess, religion person. I don't know
the priest. You tell them, go and forge some papers that say that I own this land.
Yes, go fabricate some claims and then we'll invade, which is very adequate to a lot of things happening in today's modern world. So there it is.
It's basically the same system. Nothing changed.
Yep, exactly. So while preparing for this episode, I thought about the things I like about the game. It was like, one thing is like, oh yeah, you need a reason? Okay, go pay the priest like some 3,000 gold and they'll take care of you.
Russia's literal reason for the war right now is Ukraine used to be a part of us. We have a claim on it. They literally say it.
I'm telling you, years of playing Paradox game prepared us for this moment.
Exactly. People should have known that it was coming. Although, as you can see, a coalition against aggression is far less effective in the real world than in European studies.
I mean, yes. Even though, so I was in my Ireland campaign, I was part of a coalition, and then one of the people in my coalition said, "Hey, I need you to go to war with me." I was like, why would I leave my beautiful island to go to war with you?
Because you lose prestige.
So I lost prestige, and he was very disappointed. But then he was like so far away because I'm on a newbie island.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, you're disappointed. What can you do? I'm here in my nice island.
Yeah.
But then somehow years later, I lost, like in the economics game when it didn't have any gold. I don't know. So anyway, so I guess there's some nice stories that come out of it.
Yeah, but in Europa Universalis, there is an actual coalition system where if you are too aggressive, people will start bending against you. So.
I think it's the same in Stellaris. That's my current campaign is. So I'm playing a race of space snails where they discovered Buddhism way back like eons ago. So they're snails that are united to end the suffering in the galaxy, and so I'm playing like a pacifism campaign where I just have like huge federation of people protecting me, and I'm just like sitting there ruling the empire. So
nice.
That's Okay,
so
there's cool stories coming out of it. So I guess it's you make me want to come back to that game. Maybe I'll do that over the weekend.
We don't have time for news because we have been talking for 35 minutes already.
Time.
Okay, so that's all we have on the show today. Thank you for listening. You can find us online on Twitter. I'm at Icel. Omer is at Omer Kaplan. And as I mentioned before, On the YouTube channel, youtube.com/icel.me, you can find my Consular of Palestine campaign until my shameful disgrace where I'm being stripped from my titles. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, comment, and leave your reviews on your preferred listening app. You can find all of the links at theburn.live. And as always, our opening theme was created by Ann Dorko with vocals by Fishy Twitch, both on Twitter as well. Omer, always a pleasure.
Yes. And I will see you soon. Not in
yes,
the summer.
we'll schedule the next recording immediately. See you all next time. Goodbye.
Yeah.